Have you ever felt like your mind is both your greatest strength and, well, your heaviest burden? Today, we're diving deep into a quiet, pretty confusing struggle that affects some of the brightest people out there. We're always told that being smart is the key to solving problems. We're taught that a higher IQ is basically a safeguard against failure, that more intelligence means better choices, and better choices mean an easier life. It's a really comforting thought, right? This idea that our intellect is the shield that protects us from the world. But if you really look closely, you start to see a completely different pattern. For a lot of highly intelligent people, the struggles don't just disappear. They just change shape. It can create this unique kind of challenge, where the very same mind that can solve these incredibly complex equations often gets stuck on the simplest hurdles of just being human.
And that phenomenon? That's what we're calling the intelligence trap. It's this paradox where a very specific kind of misstep becomes possible only for the highly intelligent, because they start to trip over their own mental complexity. So the core idea to get here is that this trap isn't about a lack of information. Not at all. It's about having a brain that processes reality so intensely, in such high definition, that it actually starts to create its own unique obstacles. It makes life feel deeper, heavier, and a whole lot more complex. Here's a great way to think about it. Your intelligence is this incredible high-performance engine. It's capable of amazing speed and power. But if you don't have steering, which is your emotional intelligence, that very same engine can just as easily drive you right off a cliff. It's all power with no direction.
Okay, so what does this actually feel like in the real world? Let's break down some of the tangible, everyday experiences of people who are caught in this trap.
Take a look at this list. Does any of it ring a bell? Now, this isn't a list of personal failures. This is just what happens when a brain is basically built for continuous processing. For example, that paralyzing perfectionism thing, that's not about being neat and tidy. It's about seeing so many potential flaws and worst-case scenarios that you can't even start. Your mind is always analyzing, always questioning, even when you are desperately screaming for it to just rest.
And that's the real kicker, isn't it? It's a 24/7 operation. Your mind replays conversations for hours after they're over, questioning every little decision you've made. This constant mental churn isn't a sign of weakness. It's a feature of having cognitive depth. But over time, it can lead to some serious mental and emotional burnout.
So, why does this happen? The core psychological reason is actually fascinating. It's all about how a super-logical mind instinctively tries to handle the messy, illogical world of human emotions. Psychologists call this intellectualizing. Think of it like a defense mechanism. When a really smart person faces a tough emotion, like rejection or shame, their first instinct isn't to feel the hurt. It's to take the whole situation apart, analyze why it happened, and basically turn it into a logic problem that needs to be solved. So instead of expressing pain, you end up explaining it. This creates this kind of cognitive buffer, right? A safe distance that protects you from getting overwhelmed in the moment. But here's the trade-off. While it protects your mind, it can totally block emotional intimacy and create a massive blind spot in how you connect with yourself and with other people.
This analogy just hits the nail on the head. You can spend all your time perfecting the logical blueprints of your life, your career, your relationships, but if you forget to check the messy, emotional reality of the ground underneath it all, well, the entire structure is at risk of sinking.
All right, so if that's the trap, how in the world do you escape it? Well, the answer isn't about becoming less smart or trying to silence your mind. It's about developing a new kind of intelligence, an awareness of your own thinking.
It all starts with a skill called metacognition. It's a fancy word, but it just means the ability to step back and observe your own thoughts, almost like they're clouds passing in the sky, without getting swept away by them. When you realize that your opinions are not your identity, you suddenly get the freedom to change your mind. And that mental flexibility, that's a sign of true, profound intelligence.
Metacognition is what lets you practice something called cognitive inhibition. It's all about that tiny gap, that pause you can create between a feeling and your action. So, for example, instead of immediately lashing out when you feel criticized, you pause. It's not about suppressing the anger, it's about choosing your response deliberately, instead of letting some automatic impulse choose for you.
And you can actually train this skill. First, just notice your automatic reaction. Then, introduce one simple, powerful question. What if I'm wrong? That simple act of self-doubt just crushes your biases and opens the door to a more intentional response, one that serves the person you want to be, not just how you feel in that split second. And that last step, updating your beliefs, that's the hallmark of a truly flexible, intelligent mind.
So the big takeaway from all of this isn't to wish for a quieter mind. It's about learning how to ground the brilliant one you already have. It's about shifting your entire perspective on the struggle itself.
I want you to let that sink in for a moment. High intelligence doesn't just sharpen your mind, it intensifies everything. Your awareness of the world, your experience of emotion, your sense of responsibility. What feels like a heavy burden is so often just the price of seeing the world in higher resolution than most people.
Your reliance on your own internal reasoning, your need for depth over spectacle, these are profound strengths. People who think independently are, in a way, navigating life without a script. And in a world that is just full of noise, that quiet self-reliance is an incredibly rare and powerful thing.
So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. Take a moment for yourself tonight and really consider where your intelligence might be working against you. Are you busy analyzing a problem that maybe simply needs to be felt?